1963. He murdered a 15-year-old classmate in Germany. Convicted, served only 6 years. Then he came to America. Stanford, 1973 and 1974. 2 more women strangled. For 50 years he lived free. Family man. Elks Lodge, exalted ruler. Then DNA genealogy caught him. Not an American town, but something close to it. An overseas army installation with its own schools, shops, and rhythms of life. The United States was led then by President John F. Kennedy, only months away from his visit to Berlin. It was a self-contained world, American, but not in America. And it was here that the first part of this story began. Her name was Margaret Williams, 15 years old, the daughter of an Army chaplain. She went to school on the base at Bad Kreuznach, where the sons and daughters of American servicemen studied together, a small replica of suburban America overseas. On the evening of February 17, 1963, she attended a youth dance at the chapel. She never made it home. The next morning, her body was found behind the American Youth Club, sexually assaulted and strangled. The investigation quickly focused on another student, 18-year-old son of an Army sergeant major. He was questioned by German and American authorities and confessed to the killing. A West German court convicted him of murder. He was sentenced to 10 years, but served only 6. Upon release, he was ordered to leave the country within 24 hours. That would have been around 1970. Fast forward to 1973, Stanford University. The protests of the 1960s had faded. The Sting played in theaters. American graffiti filled the air with old rock and roll. Leslie Marie Perloff was 21, a Stanford graduate working at the law library. She liked hiking and photography, and sometimes drove into the foothills to unwind after work. On February 16, 1973, she left the campus early in her orange Datsun. The next day, her car was found parked neatly along Old Page Mill Road, the driver's window down, her purse still inside. Her body was discovered under an oak tree nearby. She had been strangled with her own scarf. There were bruises on her face, dirt beneath her fingernails, signs of a struggle. Evidence was taken, fibers, clothing, biological samples. Without a suspect, it was filed away and left for science that did not yet exist. 1974, Nixon had resigned. Gas was 55 cents a gallon. Hitchhiking was still part of California life. Janet Ann Taylor, 21, lived in La Honda and worked near Page Mill Road. She practiced martial arts and had a brown belt. Friends called her fearless. On March 24, 1974, she spent the afternoon with her best friend, who was leaving for college the next day. When evening came, Janet set out to feed her dogs at home. Her car had broken down. She planned to hitchhike. Her friend watched her walk through a meadow toward the road. It was the last time she saw her. The next morning, a dairy truck driver noticed what looked like debris in a ditch. When he stopped, he saw a human foot. Janet lay on her back, shoeless. Her rain jacket was torn from the shoulder. The ribbed pattern of her turtleneck was imprinted into the bruises on her neck. She had been beaten and strangled. Detectives found her belongings scattered along the road. Like Leslie Perloff's case, Janet Taylor's evidence was sealed, logged, and eventually boxed away. 1975, Palo Alto. A 17-year-old girl identified in court records only as Diane Doe. She was a member of the local Boy Scout troop. The scout leader drove her home one day, raped her. He threatened to kill her if she made any sound. She survived and reported the assault. You might want to sit down for this part. It is as baffling as it is disgusting. The scout leader was arrested, pleaded guilty to statutory rape, and served a 6-month sentence, allowed to spend only weekends in jail and return home during the week. Decades pass. The killer walks free. Then 2018, Santa Clara County investigators sent the preserved evidence from Leslie Perloff's case to Parabon Nanolabs, where famed genetic genealogist C.C. Moore was using public ancestry databases to trace unknown suspects through family trees. From a degraded DNA profile found under Leslie's fingernails, Moore identified distant relatives. One branch led to a family in California. At the end of that branch was one name. Detectives began surveillance on the man after they followed him to a pharmacy where he picked up a prescription, drank coffee in the waiting area, and threw the cup away. After he left, they collected it. The laboratory extracted a partial DNA profile from the rim. It matched the profile from under Leslie Perloff's fingernails. That match allowed detectives to obtain a warrant for a cheek cell sample. When detectives sat him down in 2018, they asked if he had ever been arrested. He said no, but the truth is that he had, for murder in Germany and for rape in Palo Alto, shown a portrait of Leslie Perloff. He said, "She's cute anyway." Asked if he had ever fantasized about rape or murder, he answered, "That's what it looks like." Then, without being prompted, he mentioned the other girl. The detective had not said there was another.
Your DNA would be on a person?
Don't know.
Don't know? Okay.
Especially this person or these two persons.
What two persons?
Well, that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The two young women.
Okay. I showed you a picture of that one young lady.
Yeah. No.
Okay. What's the second young lady?
The one up on the one up on the hill.
Okay.
Yeah. There's two different places you're talking about.
Okay. One of them's up on the hill?
Yeah.
Okay. And then up on what hill? Well, you mentioned the hill.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
I mentioned the hills.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the other one? Because I don't remember another one.
Well, there's the two girls. There's not both the same place.
Okay. I mentioned one girl up on the hill.
Yeah, I mean okay, wherever she was, wherever the second girl was.
Oh, okay.
The slip tied both murders together before the evidence was even introduced. He tried to explain it away, claiming the photograph of Leslie looked like someone else. But the record was clear, and the DNA was absolute. His name, John Arthur Gautreaux. By then, he was 77 years old. After his return from Germany, after he did only 6 years for murder, he had worked as a medical technician at Stanford and Mills hospitals, married 3 times, raised 2 children, and later became a carpenter. In 2008, he joined the Fremont Elks Lodge, a patriotic fraternal order. Members remembered him as polite and dependable. He rose to the title of Exalted Ruler, overseeing events and community programs. Then finally, in November 2018, he was charged with the murder of Leslie Marie Perloff. In May 2019, San Mateo County matched his DNA to the torn green corduroy pants of Janet Ann Taylor. In 2022, a jury found him guilty of first-degree murder for Janet Ann Taylor. He had already been convicted for Leslie Perloff. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. He died in 2023, serving life for murders committed nearly 50 years earlier. May the victims all rest in peace. Justice, well, that is in the eye of the beholder and closure. What does that even mean? But the monster is dead. That much is true. And it is also true that they live among us.